Hey, it's your old pal Lucid Stu again, and in this Brightline West adventure, we're going to check out Silver Lake, and I will show you a rare event, water in the lake. Silver Lake is a dry lake bed a couple of miles from Brightline West at the planned route's rough midpoint of Baker, California. Baker is a tiny town of 500 that mainly exists to service interstate traffic and tourism to the nearby Mojave National Preserve and Death Valley National Park. It's probably most famous as the home of the tallest thermometer in the world at 134 feet, which is the highest temperature recorded on Earth in degrees Fahrenheit 75 miles away in Death Valley. On the other side of Baker from Silver Lake is Soda Dry Lake, which is considered the terminus of the Mojave River. However, occasionally water runs through a channel in Baker between the two dry lakes, and water from the Mojave can reach Silver Lake. These are former perennial lakes that are now nearly constantly dry, but on occasion enough water flows into them to flood them to shallow depths for short periods. November 18th was one such time when I was in the area documenting the Brightline West route. We had a couple of days of decent rain around that time in Southern California. These storms had a stronger than unusual impact on the desert and just so happened to pass by the area hours before I got there. It is quite unusual to find water in Silver Lake, so I considered myself lucky to be able to document the event and show it to you. This area is quite hot. The record temperature in Baker is 124 degrees Fahrenheit. Because of that, a lot of evaporation of surface water occurs, and it's unusual for any water that collects in these lakes to remain on the surface for very long. However, geologic evidence indicates that this area was much wetter at certain times in the past when weather patterns were altered by advancing glacial sheets far to the north. During those times, it's thought that inflow to lakes like these exceeded high evaporation rates enough for water to remain in the lakes year-round. For Silver Lake in particular, it's thought that it was deep enough at times to overflow a low pass to the south and drain into the Amargosa River, which would have ultimately reached Death Valley. As such, it's thought that a series of perennial lakes existed out there in the Mojave Desert, where now we only find dry lake beds. The particulars of getting this footage are interesting. The lake bed itself is considered a Bureau of Land Management wilderness, and it is illegal to fly drones over it. State Route 127, also known as Death Valley Road, links Death Valley with Interstate 15 and is the only paved road through the area. The land on the other side of 127 is also BLM wilderness, and you can't fly there, so what to do? The airspace above the road is fair game. That's why I'm not moving the drone around any. It was 400 feet in the air, and it was frankly difficult to tell if I was complying with the rules, even sending it straight up and hovering in place. Nevertheless, it's a great view. Another tricky part about this shot from a drone operator's perspective is that you're not supposed to loiter over traffic, which means that normally hovering over a roadway is a no-no. That set of circumstances combined means this isn't the easiest footage to gather while sticking to the rules. Luckily, there isn't much traffic on this roadway, just a few big rigs coming and going to who knows where. I did head down the roadway a bit to show the extent of the flooding. Overall, about half of the lake bed was flooded. I would guess most of that water was only a few inches deep. I drove by the next day on the way home, and most of this was mud already. It's worth noting that this water did not come from the Mojave River or the channel through Baker. This was heavy local rainfall, which is doubly unusual given the amount of water that managed to collect. You can see a linear structure through the lake that appears to be a dike. There is another one next to the roadway on its east side. It appears that neither are all that well maintained nor accomplishing their purpose. I witnessed a lot of different places on this trip where water was pooling on or running over the roadway. Not enough people live in or drive through these areas for the provisioning and maintenance of permanent works for the rare strong storm that blows through. Eventually, it was time to come back down to earth on this lonesome road. I had an appointment to fly over the Brightline West station site in the Las Vegas area and had to be moving on if I wanted to make it. But first I had a fun opportunity to film the drive-by of this big rig. After that, I packed up the drone and headed back to Interstate 15 in Las Vegas. I made a video about my Brightline West Las Vegas station site flight and others on that trip for my Lucid Stew channel. Check it out in the card and description. I hope you enjoyed this rare look at Silver Lake in the Mojave Desert at a time when it wasn't dry. But that's all for now. Until next time, I'll see you on that big, beautiful freeway.